I am on my way to, or on my way from work, and I've been thinking about sharing this, so I thought I might as well make the video now while I'm by myself because once I get home, I gotta cook dinner for my kiddos. And the topic is why I stopped going to church. And this is my personal experience, okay? Some people might hate on it, but I'm just sharing what my experience has been growing up Catholic. And you can tell me if you can relate, or if not, that's fine too. Thanks for tuning in. If you don't know me, my name is Monica. So I grew up in a Catholic, going to a Catholic church. I remember from the very start, I went to a Catholic school. I've changed schools for the vast majority of my elementary life, and all of them were Catholic schools. And I can still remember, even to this day, how much, gosh, people are gonna hate me, but okay, it was boring, okay? Like, I just could not relate. The songs and the hymns were very slow. I remember just always wishing it would end sooner rather than later. And I remember my aunt who raised me, she would always take me to church any chance she got. She worked a lot when I was growing up. She worked a lot. She raised my brother and I, so it was just her. My mom was already abroad working when I was growing up. So anyway, so she would take me to Catholic church. And on top of that, I go to a Catholic school. So when you go to a Catholic school, I think I would say in a month, we have church like 2 to 3 times a month. Okay, so, and then on top of that, my aunt would take me. And I just found it to be just like the messages go in one ear and out the other type of thing. But mind you, I was also little, right? I was still a child. So I kept going to Catholic churches, I think up until I was in my late 20s, I would say. And during this time, I would go just out of something that I've been doing that I've gotten used to. You know what I mean? My heart was not there. Meaning I would go there and basically just watch the time. Like, okay, like it's like watching paint dry. And maybe that was just me. Maybe my attention span was the issue, but actually, I didn't think so. That's not the case. I'll tell you why in a bit. But anyway, I remember when I would go to church, every time people would come in, but I used to live in Edmonton, which is in Alberta, and there were a lot of Filipinos there. And I remember every time I would go to church, people would always look when other people would come in the church, and just looking up and down, checking what they're wearing, who they're with, and all of that kind of stuff. And eventually I caught on to this, and then I also noticed that I was doing this myself. And then I just realized, what am I doing? Like, I'm basically looking and judging these people. Like, who am I to do that? Like, I'm going to church and this is what people do, and I'm doing the same thing. And then I stopped going because I just didn't feel good about it. I felt like every time I would go, I wasn't really getting the message, which is the most important thing. And not only that, like the songs, I just found them to be like they weren't very uplifting. I don't know what it was. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, if please don't hate on me if you go to Catholic if you go to a Catholic church. So I stopped going. So anyway, I don't know what it was. I took a break from church, and then I had a longing to go back to church. During this time when I took a break, I was still very much in touch with God. Like, I would still say my prayers, and like I still believe in God, like when I need help, and the things that I'm grateful for, but I just never physically went to church. So anyway, I took that break, I had that longing, and then I don't know, I can't remember now how I stumbled upon a Christian church. And when I first went, it was eye-opening, because I was like, wow, they're singing these songs, these lively songs. And, it was just, I could just relate more. And I felt like every time when I first found out this church that I was going to, every time I'd go there, I just feel alive. And not only that, the message, of the pastor would really hit me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you've ever gone to like a mass or a service, and the pastor the pastor who happens to be doing the service hits all the right notes, and you're like, oh my God, this is me, this is like he's talking about me or she's talking about me. Anyway, so ever since I started going to that church, I stopped going to a Catholic church. And I have just found that, how do I say this? Let's just say that when I started going to Christian churches, I've gone through a few now because I've moved places and all of that. That's when I started digging more about spirituality. That's why I feel like going to church and belonging to a denomination, I'm not against that at all, because I feel that could be very much a way to find spirituality. That's what happened to me. So, so after all this digging deeper and reading books and listening to podcasts about Christianity, spirituality, my eyes were opening. I mean, they still are. I'm still a learning progress. But it was until I read this book that changed everything for me. And now I don't go to church, and not that I don't want to. It's because right now the church that we have been going to, it's like the sermon is like a hit or a miss. I mean, nothing against them, but that's how I felt. So I don't want to just go there just for the sake of going. You know what I mean? But anyway, after I read this book, I'm telling you, everything changed. If my eyes were opening when I read this book, I probably read this book like 4 times now, and I'm not planning on stopping. Like, I'll probably eventually go back to it and read it again, because it was just such, gosh, I highly recommend it. And the title of it is not what you would expect. Anyway, this book is called, I'm just parking at my house now. This book is called, dun 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 dun, it's called Conversations with God. Let me know if you've read this book. Hands down, this is one of the best books I've ever read. Completely changed the way I view things. And this is how, after reading this book, I've definitely become more, or became more spiritual. I still have a lot to learn, but that was a life-changing book for me. And even every time I read it, because it's such a long book, every time I read it, I'm always learning something new. And some of the messages there, I thought I understood, but I understood it better the second time, the third time. And some of them could have like gave me a different meaning the second time around. Like I understood it more. It's one of those books that you can't just read it once. After reading this book, I felt so free. I just felt so free. I can't really explain further or much than that. Like you'd have to read it. So if you are in your growing season, you feel like you're into that kind of stuff, or you're questioning religions or spirituality, that is one of the books that I would recommend. And if you do end up reading this book, let me know what your thoughts are. Yeah, because when I first read it, I'm like, Conversations with God. Obviously, this is like a religious type of book, like it's very religion based and all of that. But it's not at all like that. Anyway, thank you so much for dropping by. I'm Monica, by the way, and I share content about relationships, about my faith and self-development. A disclaimer, I am not a Bible scholar and I am not a therapist. I'm none of those. What I share are things that I go through in life myself, and sometimes the things that I struggle with or have struggled with. And some of them I lean towards the Bible, and from the Bible I try to understand the word and share them with you. So yeah, okay, thank you.